so many different ways of being a leader. So I'm a relatively shy person, yet I can still consider myself a leader through helping others, really.
I think of a leader as someone who just sets themselves apart from the crowd, someone who has a vision for themselves and or their communities.
It's helped me open my eyes as to what leadership could mean for myself. It makes me want to push myself. It's been very empowering and very humbling.
The students come to Moore with the recognition that they have this voice saying, I want to become more than I am. Part of that is my creative life. The other part is my social life. And by social, I mean the ability to influence others in an idea. And that's really what leadership is.
I'm really interested in the idea of community-based arts as an institution for education and what that can do for students and what that can do for the communities that it serves. I was greatly inspired by my middle school art teacher who has served as a mentor for me. As a woman of color, for me seeing another woman of color, really dedicated to what she was doing in a field that I was interested in, kind of really got me thinking in high school that I would like to kind of make that impact as well.
So far at the school, I have had some awesome opportunities meeting different people, as well as having the opportunity to get involved in the arts community outside of Moore as well.
There was one class that I took this past spring semester called Engaging Students in Community Arts that I think really solidified my interest in community-based arts as a tool for education. Without the Visionary Woman Honor Scholarship, I honestly would not be here right now. It means so much to me that people see what the work I've been doing and the work that I am doing, and they see the potential in me to do great things. I like to think of myself as someone who can also inspire other people to be leaders.
Fashion is everywhere. It's the perfect platform. I mean, whether you want to or not, fashion is going to be a part of your life. So I think that by using a medium like that is really effective in getting awareness and information out there. My collection, which is 8 garments, is meant to depict my journey through PTSD. A lot of times I don't really have a way with words, and I think that describing it visually in this way is really effective. Fashion has always been a part of my life. As long as I can remember. My mom actually taught me how to sew when I was about 5 years old, and I've just sort of been doing it ever since. I really appreciate that Moore is a small school, and you get really individualized one-on-one attention, and I love that it's an all-women's college. All of the people here are really great and supportive. The scholarship definitely helped. It made it possible for me to attend this school. So without the scholarship, I don't know if I would have been able to be here. It's good to have a direction, but I don't need to know where I'm gonna be in 5 to 10 years. I don't need to know. All I need to know is that I need to follow my passion and never stop creating and never stop learning and just see where it takes me.
I think I really enjoy, actually, the materials, because we have a wonderful materials library here at school. It's always really exciting to go in and get to play with the materials and, see for yourself what works and what doesn't work. Especially in restaurants, whenever I go out with my friends, I always look like, I don't think I would have done that. I don't like that choice. Or I'd say, oh, wow, that's really nice. Let me take a picture, and then I can, maybe incorporate it into my design. So I have a heightened sensibility, I guess, towards the design of spaces now. The interior design community is wonderful. We're a really, really small major, so we're all a very close-knit community. Sometimes the seniors will poke their heads in, or the juniors, and they'll come in and help us, because they've all been there, done that, you know, and it's really, really nice. Before I came to school here, I wasn't super sure about what I wanted for my career, but since being here, I am super excited to graduate, and I want to do like 3 different things. I want to go into fashion, and I want to open a business, and I want to open a restaurant, so there's quite a lot of things that I've been exposed to and open up to since being here. I think this scholarship is a really, really, really great opportunity for a lot of people that, you know, work hard and, you know, are serious about school, because I needed a good scholarship in order to go to college. Maybe this is a little bit silly, but I really like red brick walls, because we don't have anything like that in Trinidad. So coming up here, everything is red brick, and I think it's so pretty. So when I go home, I can incorporate that into my designs, you know, bring a little bit of Philly to Trinidad.
Dr. Deborah Willis is a professor, an author, a photographer, a very, very accomplished person. One of the things I like about Deb's work is how personal it is. She has substantiated herself as a serious intellectual and an extremely talented creative person.
I think I'm a dreamer, and having the opportunity to dream is wonderful. And if you could dream and create and envision a story and envision an opportunity, I think that's the most precious thing in life. You know, it started, I was a kid here in Philadelphia, about 7, 8 years old. We used to go to the library every Saturday, and so my visual learning started with a book called The Sweet Flypaper of Life, which was a book by Langston Hughes and photographer Roy DeCarava. And I remember reading the visual images. I was interested in the way the light told stories about Black life in Harlem. And then my father was an amateur photographer, and he would always make family photographs. So photography was always around me, and I decided when I was in high school that I wanted to become a photographer based on the images that I would see all the time. When I studied photography, there were no African-American photographers in the history books. And I felt, where are they? Where, who can I reflect upon, except for Gordon Parks, who I appreciated as a photographer from Life magazine. When I was an undergraduate student, I wrote to him. He said, Debbie, come and meet me. Come to New York. And having an opportunity to have a photographer who is well known, a photojournalist, who opened the door to talk to me about photography, to encourage me to make images, and also to encourage me to do the research. So when I was a young undergraduate student, I asked a question, started with a question. It ended up 40 years of doing research on African American photographers. Thinking about growing up in the beauty shop, there were a lot of rules, not only about beauty rules and health rules, but also about how do you raise your children. And you see in this image here, no children, allowed to run through the shop. And also in terms of etiquette, limit your calls to 3 minutes. So I love the storytelling aspect of this experience of photographing the beauty shop. With the Blackamoors, I was fascinated with the extension of beauty and grotesque within the framing of the Blackamoors, that the Black body is always seen as in service. And this one shocked me. This is a table base. Just imagine the person who could create a piece that could imagine a Black body that is stretched, and a glass table would, the body would hold this table. I find it beautiful, painted, you know, the whole aspect of the shape of the body, but then also I'm annoyed with this, you know, image, and thought that I needed to document it because of my confusion about, you know, the collection of these images. I knew that I wanted to continue to write, make images, and curate, and I know that was the blend for me. I'm juggling, because that's what artists, that's what we do.
Roz Chast is a groundbreaker, and she communicates through humor and through her drawing the human condition, something that we're all facing. And she does it with such elegance and grace. And I'm sure, having met Roz, that she would say, "Me? Graceful?" But indeed, it is so. And I believe that she has a level of commitment to her work that goes well beyond someone sitting at a drawing table all day.
When I was growing up, I think I was pretty shy, I was hostile, I was paranoid. And so, you know, it's a perfect mix for a cartoonist. I never thought I would be a cartoonist for the New Yorker, but I submitted in April of 1978. I turned in a batch of cartoons, you know, over the transom, and they bought one, which was a total shockaroo, and I immediately thought, well, that was a fluke, that will never happen again. And, you know, something I still think about from week to week. I've done a lot of different kinds of books. I've done collections of cartoons. I've done 2 more long-form graphic memoir type books. Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant is the story of my dealing with my parents the last 10 or so years of their lives. And they lived very long lives. My father passed away at 95, my mother died at 97. And so those last years were challenging in many ways, and interesting. My relationship with them was fraught. It was complicated. I grew up in a very small apartment, and my parents were older when they had me. And what I remember mostly is the importance of being quiet. And being quiet because we lived in an apartment and you didn't want to obnox, you know, your neighbors. So even if, you know, my record, you know, was audible, it was like, turn that down. You know, we're going to lose our lease. We're going to be out on the street. We're going to be like begging like bums on the, you know. And they didn't have much patience for, you know, a kid. And I was an only child. I think that, you know, being quiet was very important in a lot of ways. And so I remember just drawing for me was a way to survive, really. I think in some ways, for me, drawing and writing is a way of processing life. And not only processing it, but remembering it. I don't have a great memory. I'm always afraid I'm going to forget something. And I will, and I know I will. And sometimes that sense of time and conversations just kind of flowing by all the time, you know, gives me like anxiety, a lot of anxiety. So this book, Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant, was both. It was a way of processing the whole thing of taking care of my parents. And it was also a way to remember them. This was this past January. Sunset at 11 a.m., cold, gray, wet, frostbite, leaf scarf on train. I always liked when I could make myself laugh. Stick with your vision. If you have an idea of how you want your work to be, and a strong feeling of what you want your work to be about, how you want to draw, and how you want to write, how you want to express yourself, look for people who can help you do that and ignore the rest.
I love watching women become self-sufficient. Really, what they're doing the whole time they're here is growing. And they acquire at more the strength to go out in the world and be their own person. It is a community of visionary women.